welcome to my channel. I'm Tiffany, retired librarian turned homeschool mom, and I am trying out a brand new mic. So, hopefully this sounds better than some of my other videos where I had to get a new camera, and then it wasn't working with my Livier mic, and it was sounding all echoey. You can see in some of the other videos the sound isn't quite as good as it was. So I finally bowed down and bought another mic, particularly when my previous thing of the book that we're reviewing here turned out really, really garbled. So, let's get going with this. So we're continue with our Titanic videos. So this is Kasper the Titanic Cat by Michael, I hate it when I have to do these. Morpurgo. Sorry about the butchering. Not good with last names. And it's illustrated by Michael Foreman. So this is a cute little children's book. It's probably about middle elementary, depending, just by looking at it. It does have pictures and stuff in it, all black and white. So this is definitely geared at more of the middle elementary range. This is in the children's section of my library. It is about, give or take, about 198 pages. So, but again, I'll show the regular font that's written. So this is the font, so you can kind of get an idea. I'm guessing about middle elementary, maybe middle school, grade book, depending on your kids' age range. If they can read, there is nothing outwardly in this book. If you're first grader, my nephew might be able to read this, and he's in second grade. He might have been able to read it in first grade, depending on their reading level. But otherwise, go on up. It's a kind of an interesting, sweet little story. So this is about, it's a fictional story about a cat on the Titanic. So what happens in this story, our main character is a little boy by the name of Johnny Trot. And he works in a hotel that does exist, called the Savory, in London. And this countess comes into the hotel, and who has this cat, who is Kasper, who's the king of cats. And she kind of takes him in, and she's nice to him. Again, he's like a bellboy. He's about 12. So he's an orphan. He's not had the greatest life. Again, this is London in 1912. The life of orphans is, particularly in big cities, or in general, is not, it's not good. It's not nice. So he's working there, and she takes him on and introduces him to stuff, and then she dies, and he adopts the cat. And eventually this family comes with a little girl by the name, this wealthy family comes with a little girl by the name of Lizzie-Beth. And she kind of runs away from her parents. She's relatively young, probably about 6 or 7. And she gets into his rooms in the servants' quarters and finds Kasper. And she kind of falls in love with him. And when her and her family are going to go on the Titanic, he gives Kasper to them because she's fallen in love with him. And he thinks, okay, the cat will have a better life. Then he makes the decision to stow away on the Titanic, along with a few other adult men. Again, he's found, he's put in the boiler rooms, which he actually enjoys as work. He's down in the part of the ship. He's working in different shifts. He seems to enjoy it. And he does actually find the family of Lizzie-Beth. And at one point in time, obviously, the ship is hit. He realizes it's going to sink because, again, he's down in the bows of the ship. So he gets up there, he finds them, and he says, this ship is going to sink. You need to get the heck out of here and get on deck and get on a boat. And eventually they don't want to leave the cat. Father wants to leave the cat, little girl doesn't. He eventually gets the cat. The family gets on the ships. The entire family survives, which is pretty unusual. But they rescue the cat, and he's essentially adopted into the family. And when he's supposed to go to university, World War One happens. He's overseas. The cat is still alive. He's fine. He actually runs into one of the other boy by the name of Mitch. I think they call him Little Mitch, who survived the Titanic with them. And they are both obviously grown men at this point. And they come back together, and they both start working at Lizzie Beth's dad's publishing house. And eventually they take Kasper back to London and back to the Savory, and that's where he passes away. So, and it's kind of an interesting Titanic story where you get to look at what it's like for both an upper class family and this lower class little boy, in the early 1900s, around obviously 1912, because we have an exact date because this is about the Titanic. And you kind of get, it's an interesting historical fiction that surrounds this cat. Now, the cat in this story, there is a Kasper cat. He does exist. He's a statue. My thumbnail is the Kasper cat that inspired this book. The author saw him in the Savory, this statue of this black cat, and that's where he got the idea for this book. Kasper, the Titanic Cat. So he uses it as a vehicle to introduce these children and the lives of the Titanic. It is a very, very sweet story. Happy ending, which I always love. I'm a sucker for the happy endings. I actually try to avoid books that don't have happy endings, just because that's me. But nonetheless, it's a great children's book. I like the historical fiction aspect of it. And of course, I'm a cat lover. And specifically, this is a black cat, of which I have two. And my calico is actually very dark. If you've seen previous other videos of her, she is a dark calico, who's mostly black. So, no, it's actually not night. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon. So, but again, this is a very, very cute book that is extremely enjoyable. I really highly recommend it if you're looking at history of the Titanic. If your kid just happens to like cats, and you want to do historical fiction, this is a great book to do. Again, it's just under 200 pages, but again, there's also several pages of illustrations. You have some illustrations here. I'll kind of show some of the illustrations and stuff. So there's probably not as much full-on reading as you might find in a book meant for older children. So great kind of introductory chapter, well, a little beyond introductory chapter book, but still. It's a great introduction to historical fiction and longer chapter books. So that's it for the review. Highly recommend the book. My 4-year-old did not sleep well last night. So, and this is November. But if you like this channel, be sure to like and subscribe. Again, I'm covering the Titanic. You guys will be seeing this in April. I'm filming this in November. It's actually November 4th. So, covering the Titanic this month, series-wise. If I'm not done with Anne of Green Gables, that's still going on. Boxcar Children are coming next, and then Wings of Fire, which is another series that we're coming on. After we finish with Titanic this year, if you guys are watching this when this comes out, next month I'm going into Asian immigration, and we're looking at San Francisco's Angel Island as much as I can. And then we're going to be looking at Eastern immigration, European coming. We're looking into Ellis Island. Then I'm doing some videos on food in July. We're looking at women inventors in August. We're doing a deep dive into Beauty and the Beast, my daughter's favorite princess, in September. And no, that is not her birthday month. Her birthday month is in July. But I've already done this with Cinderella. You can go back and I have an entire playlist on Cinderella where I look at various different iterations. I look at the live action. I look at the original Disney animation. I compare some of the original stories, the two Brothers Grimm and the French one, which is kind of what I've been doing with Beauty and the Beast. And then October we're doing space because I kind of ran out of spooky stuff. Not the space can't be spooky. And then we're doing Hindu Festival Diwali in November because I ran out of media for Native American stuff. There is nothing remotely accurate that I actually want to cover that is family appropriate. I'm not going to do Dancing with Wolves on that channel or The Last of Mohicans on this channel. I'm not sure of their authenticity, and no. And there's a whole bunch of white savior issues going on there. And enough of that with the reiteration of another African American book, which his name is eluding me. But nonetheless, we're covering the Hindu Festival of Diwali, which has plenty of books. Not so much on the media, but nonetheless. And then we're doing mysteries in December. And that's what will be continuing through the life of this channel in honor of my late mother. She did die in this recent September, and she loved mysteries. And this year just happens to be a coincidence. I plan these things months in advance, which is the reason I'm filming April in November. I'm actually behind. Sometimes normally I get stuff done faster. 4-year-olds take a lot of energy, as you can see. Nonetheless. So that's what we're going to be covering that wise. If you want to look back in the playlist this year, last month I did cover women's history. I previously covered Irish history. You can find some of that in the playlist. I did Black History Month. I pretty much do Black History Month every February. In January, I covered some interesting activities, some metalworking, some cheese making, some glass blowing kind of thing. That was what was going on. I also did an overview of the book series, The Animorphs, a brief overview. Those books are, 1, really formulaic, and 2, it just got too much. Not my style. I like science fiction, but I don't like violent science fiction, and that's what that is. You can also see my interest, my deep dive into horror if you look at my Joseph Delaney The Last Apprentice series. That was a trug to get through. That's why I covered the Princess Diaries right after that. Palette cleanser. I also, and again, Anne of Green Gables. And the only other series I covered, I finished off. I was doing a 3-block thing of Catherine Lasky with The Guardians of Behold, The Wolves of Beyond, and then I finished off with the Bears of the Ice, which actually I don't think is an actual finished series. But I covered the 3 books that are out. So, nonetheless, that is what's incoming, along with some more travel videos. We're going to be getting into, come August, some more reviews on finally getting into the actual homeschooling stuff. And how that's going, because we're starting in August or September, depending on when we decide to start homeschooling. But we're doing kindergarten. So, like and subscribe. Leave a positive comment if you have one. And look forward to more stuff. And look at my backlog. Thank you.